Hello there, my name is Deborah Ballard. I'm a transgender woman and a lesbian. I'm also a senior IT architect for IBM Global Services. I've been transgender my whole life. Even before I could talk, my mother noticed that I didn't act like the other boys. I didn't push or fight. I was very quiet. And I treated stuffed animals like baby dolls. And I usually played with girls until 1961. In first grade, and the school forced me to play with boys. 10 to 12 boys would beat me up 3 times a day for the next 8 years. I was hospitalized 60 times as a result. Over 3,000 aggravated assaults, all ignored by everyone. Teachers, administration, even doctors. Because I was a sissy, a queer, a faggot, a fairy, but not a person. When I was almost 7 years old, I told my mom I wanted to be like the other girls so I could play with them again. Back then, transsexuals were treated with electric shock to the brain, aversion therapy, sleep deprivation, brainwashing, a polite word for torture, for every day for 90 days. When that didn't work, they'd do a lobotomy. Hormones and surgery weren't even an option. To protect me, Mom told me I shouldn't tell anyone or something really terrible would happen. During puberty, I tried to commit suicide every week. I never told anyone. Drug overdoses, dancing in heavy traffic, drinking on antabuse, even eating a quarter pound of glass chips. I also had blackouts. I was a very bad girl then. I was bisexual. Because I was feminine, everyone assumed I was gay. When guys tried to pick me up, I introduced them to each other. I was the gay social director in high school and very active in the gay liberation movement in the 70s and 80s. I lost several close friends to AIDS. In May 1980, I took my last drink and drug. In the 80s, I spent doing directory assistance for the telephone companies and British Telecom. Then I programmed handheld computers to track FedEx packages, making them more reliable, reducing lost and late packages from 3% to 5 per million. I started to transition in 1988. My therapist couldn't believe I'd lived so long. He realized I was transsexual. Most girls like me died before they were 20 if they didn't transition. I lost my job, even though I won 2 Bravo Zulu awards. My team even won the first Malcolm Baldrige Award. I also lost my wife and my kids and my home and 100 pounds. Then I found people who accepted me and supported my transition. However, I had to abort that transition or risk losing all visitation and contact with my kids due to a social worker connected with my ex-wife's church, who never met me or my kids but knew I was transgender, all because I wouldn't let their stepfather beat the kids. In the 90s, I worked on some interesting projects, making the internet available to the public by helping BBS operators switch to Linux, getting 8,000 publishers to put their content on the internet, including Dow Jones and McGraw-Hill, doing e-commerce on the internet, and pushing open source standards so nobody could monopolize the internet, making the internet global by shipping old computers to other countries and training them to put Linux on the obsolete computers discarded by corporations upgrading to Windows 95. I worked with Dell, Red Hat, and Mexico. It expanded to India, China, and Africa. I joined IBM in 1999 because of their diversity program, and they were investing in Linux and open source. They've earned my trust. I don't regret that decision for a second. I've worked with people all over the world, and I've worked in several countries, including Saudi Arabia. Shortly after my youngest daughter graduated from college in 2010, I started the process of transition again and went to full-time in 2013. When I told my Blue Pages manager that I was transgender and would like to go full-time in a few months, he arranged for my next client engagement to be done as a woman. 2 weeks later. My clients have also been wonderful and very supportive. People notice that I listen better, I don't interrupt as often, and I'm much more effective as a leader. I'm also married to my wife, Lee Ballard, who has been very supportive from the very beginning of the second transition. We consider ourselves lesbians. As Debbie, I'm also very active in supporting the online gender community, transgender and LGBT social networks, and local support groups. On Facebook, I'm Debbie Lawrence, And I've also written 6 books, including Debbie's Secret Life, which should better be kept a secret, the Living in Stealth series, which explores being transgender before, during, and after transition, and Solitary, which looks at religion and LGBT issues. Thank you.